So you like the first Shazam movie, and you want to see the second one. Before you go, here's what I want you to do. I want you to take a notebook, tear a piece of paper, roll it up, throw it in the garbage, and start from scratch. Because that's what this is. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when you're watching this. My name is Brandon Aries, and welcome to The Sanctuary. This morning, on the day of recording this, I saw Shazam! Fury of the Gods, and here's what I have to say about it. Now, let me start by saying I really enjoyed the first one. It was one of my favorite movies of the DCEU entirely. Though with the recent backlash and the reset of the DC universe, I feel like a lot of people don't really care for this film or think that it doesn't really matter or that it's not going to continue into the new DCU, which makes sense, and I'm one of those people too. We'll get back to that point towards the end. I wanted to, out of respect for loving the first film, see the second one and see if it was any good, but I have some words. The first scene in the film gave like a very Tesseract meets Kingsman Frequency vibe with that staff. I was extremely confused. Billy Batson is rarely in this movie, and even so, he's kind of off. I know in the first one, people were talking about how him and Zachary Levi weren't really acting the same person. I feel like Billy Batson really tried to act more like Zachary Levi's Shazam in this film, so props to that. But he just still looked off, like he didn't really belong there. He doesn't really look like a teen. He looks like a young man that turns into an older man. Does that make sense? I find it funny how the kids turn their lair into a quote hangout spot. I'm glad that they touched on this now with Billy's newfound family. When they have their own things that they want to do, they kind of split from the Shazam fam. Billy's left there, and he's left with this feeling that, oh, just like everyone else that abandoned him, that left him, they're gonna do the same. I'm still kind of questioning how the old wizard is still alive, and even though seeing this movie only a couple hours ago, I can barely remember if anything was said about that. The adult versions of the Shazam fam really worked together extremely well, and the family banter among all of them was amazing. The only thing is, we really didn't see much of the kids until the end. That's kind of what the focal point of the family was. One performance that stuck out to me the most was Megan Good, and I felt like she still does a fantastic job at trying to be the youthful character of her child counterpart. The biggest struggle for me is the fact that this is a sequel, but it doesn't feel like a sequel. It's missing some of the elements that made the first one so special. Like there were certain themes and morals that added to the story along with the seriousness that meshed so well with the comedy. I also feel that the first one still had that touch of reality, whereas this one just feels completely disconnected, i.e. kind of like Quantumania. I did find it funny that they mentioned Fast and Furious to Helen Mirren while Helen Mirren is in the Fast and Furious franchise. Speaking of Helen Mirren, I thought she did a great job being one of the villains, aka one of Kronos' sisters in this film. And Lucy Liu did a great job, though I feel like she was kind of the typical supervillain from like the 2000s. I also wish I saw more of the contrasting ideals of the sisters. When you look at gods and you look at goddesses, and then you look at siblings that are gods and goddesses, there's always conflict. The conflict among the sisters was really a great example of how gods and goddesses in the mythology really conflict with each other and bicker all the time. They even have wars. Bringing back their world by destroying ours and bringing in basically Monsters Inc. was weird, and I didn't care for it. And kissing Freddy after admitting she's thousands of years old really was giving Nonce vibes. I'm gonna lose my job. A big theme in this film was definitely imposter syndrome, and you see that once in the beginning and then once towards the big climax. It was a nice subtle homage giving the original actor that played Billy Batson a cameo in this film. He was also the one that called him Captain Marvel. The weakness of the monsters is unicorns? And they like Skittles? Dang, unicorns and we'd be homies. On a serious note, the Shazam fam just riding around on unicorns while the unicorns had Skittles kind of felt very ridiculous. Taste the rainbow, motherfucker. The climax was cool, entertaining, and big flashing lights, and Billy nobly sacrifices himself to protect everyone, including his family. A true god, after all, as said by Helen Mirren. Then, after they bury him within like 2 minutes, Wonder Woman shows up, and because she's a god, she can charge the staff, and she brings Billy back to life. Even watching her on screen, I'm like, What's she doing here? Apparently DC had this idea of the Trinity being Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman appearing in one of each upcoming film. So Superman was in Black Adam, Batman is in The Flash, and Wonder Woman is in Shazam too. Anyway, Billy is back from the dead. He gave the Shazam fam their powers back, and they're one big happy family. The end. Okay. The two people from Peacemaker that were trying to recruit Shazam into the Justice Society. And this interaction was kind of cringy. So now going back to if this is going to transfer over to the new DC universe, well, James Gunn's wife is in this film as the cameo. So unless he was just having her chase a bag and then they're just wiping it clean, no more Shazam, who knows? Look, does this film suck? No, but it's not great. To me, this was another like mindless, fun movie. It's not like a world is being built. And honestly, it's not very memorable. I mean, I watched it this morning and I'm already forgetting things. Would I choose this film over the first one? Absolutely not. I still love the first one way better than this one. If you're planning on seeing it, wait till it comes out on HBO Max or any other streaming service. That's all I got to say about Shazam! Fury of the Gods. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to drop a like. It is always so much appreciated here in the Sanctuary. If you're new here, subscribe and hit that notification bell for every week this lover boy pops up in your feed. And in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Peace.